It may surprise you what I'm about to say. In fact, it might even shake something loose in your spirit. But if you found this video, if these words have reached your screen, it's not random. It's not a glitch in the algorithm. It's a divine alert. A sacred assignment is being activated in your life right now. And the message is loud and clear. Chosen one, a higher order demands you lead. Don't back down. You weren't just born into this world to observe, to blend in, to nod and smile while things fall apart. No. You carry a spiritual architecture within you that was designed for influence, for direction, for dominion. Even when you've tried to play it small, life wouldn't let you. Even when you hid in the crowd, situations would force you to stand out. You've always been called to lead. And not by choice, but by divine decree. This message might not be for everyone. And that's okay. Because only true chosen ones will feel the vibration behind these words. Only those with a deep inner knowing will keep watching until the very last second. If you're not chosen, you'll probably click away. You'll get distracted. The frequency won't hold you. But if you're still here, something in your soul has been waiting for this moment. So pause, breathe, and make this moment matter. If you feel this message in your bones, like this video, subscribe for more divine revelations, and comment 77 to send a signal to the universe that you're ready to lead. Play this on repeat to absorb the full frequency. Let it tune you. Let it empower you. Let it remind you that your leadership isn't optional, it's encoded. It's necessary. It's been demanded by a higher realm. Now let's begin the unfolding of the truth. Chapter 1, the call cannot be ignored. You've been feeling it for a while now, haven't you? That strange pressure in your chest. That quiet ache in your soul. That unshakable sense that something unseen has been trying to reach you. It shows up when the room goes silent. It whispers through your dreams. It speaks in symbols only your spirit can decode. And no matter how much you try to distract yourself, push it down, or drown it in noise, it always finds you again. Calling you, beckoning you, stirring something deep, ancient, and divine within you. You might have thought it was anxiety. You might have chalked it up to overthinking or sensitivity. But let's tell the truth now, this is not imagination. This is not a glitch in your personality. This is spiritual instruction coming from realms that know your name. This is your divine assignment pressing against the walls of your reality. And ignoring it will only make the pressure more intense. Your silence is no longer safe. Your hesitation is no longer harmless. Every delay in answering this call creates a ripple of imbalance in the sacred order of things. Because the world is shifting. Energies are colliding. Old structures are collapsing. And as the chaos rises, the universe is reorganizing itself around souls who are ready to lead, not from ego, but from alignment. You were never meant to fit into the systems of this world because you were sent here to recode them. You weren't born to follow their rules blindly, you were born to expose the flaws in the game. To speak the truth that others are too afraid to utter. That voice inside you that won't stay quiet. That relentless nudge to rise, even after you've been knocked down again and again. That isn't just survival. That's your purpose breaking through layers of programming. That's your essence rising, like fire through the ashes of everything that tried to bury you. You've always felt different. And that wasn't your weakness, it was your spiritual advantage. Because your difference is your signal. Your energy was never designed to blend in. It was crafted to stand out, to command rooms, to shift atmospheres, to awaken others just by existing in your truth. That's the power you carry. And it's why the call won't stop. It can't. But here's what they never told you: leadership at your level will not come with applause. It won't come with titles, or awards, or a pat on the back. No committee is going to show up and nominate you. No external confirmation is going to arrive in a golden envelope. Because this leadership isn't man-made. It's encoded. It's divine. And it activates not when others recognize you, but when you recognize yourself. Leading as a chosen one doesn't always look like a spotlight. Sometimes it looks like isolation. Sometimes it's choosing the harder path. Sometimes it's walking away from everything familiar and stepping into the unknown with nothing but faith. Because spiritual leadership is a war zone. And every step you take in alignment becomes a threat to everything built on illusion. They won't always understand you. They may call you arrogant, difficult, stubborn, or rebellious. But that's only because your presence makes them confront what they've spent years avoiding. Your clarity exposes their confusion. Your vibration agitates their numbness. Your truth shakes the very foundation of their false peace. And whether they admit it or not, they know you're not like them. You never were. And yes, that difference has come at a cost. You've had to grieve the spaces you never fit into. You've had to mourn the people who couldn't love you in your truth. You've been misunderstood, misread, and misjudged. But hear me when I say every bit of it was preparation. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every rejection built your resilience. Every delay refined your fire. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. Because now the call is louder. The assignment is unfolding. The spiritual tide is rising, and your name has been called to the front. You are being activated not by man, but by a higher order. And when that kind of call comes in, your only true answer is yes. This is your moment. Not to dominate, but to demonstrate. Not to compete, but to command through presence. Not to seek approval, but to walk in authority. The kind of authority that doesn't shout, but resonates. The kind that doesn't force, but shifts entire realities by simply being rooted in truth. You've doubted yourself before. You've tried to tone it down, to play it safe, to shrink yourself so others could feel comfortable. But that era is over. Your soul is done negotiating. Your light is done apologizing. Your calling is done waiting. So what now, chosen one? You rise. You remember. You lead. Not from fear. Not from perfection. But from a sacred knowing that your path has been written in the fabric of this universe. And that the moment you say yes to who you really are, the heavens align to carry you. This is not a test to see if you are worthy. This is the revelation that you've always been ready. Now move. Speak. Shift. Declare. Let them see what divine leadership looks like when a chosen one answers the call. Chapter 2. Spiritual authority is not granted, it's remembered. Chosen one, you've spent too long waiting for a sign that you were allowed to lead. You've spent too much energy searching for a green light from the outside, some approval, some permission, some validation that would finally prove you're enough. Qualified enough. Spiritual enough. Experienced enough. But what if I told you that the most powerful souls are almost never qualified by the world's standards? What if I told you that real authority, the kind that shifts timelines, doesn't come from external recognition, but from ancient remembrance? The truth is, you didn't start becoming a leader in this lifetime. That fire in your chest, that knowing in your bones, that calling that won't let you rest, this all began long before you were born. This began before the womb, before the earth, before your name had sound. This was etched into your soul blueprint long before your feet touched this ground. What you're feeling now, that pressure, that inner pull, the divine urgency to rise, isn't just passion. It's not ambition. It's not ego. It's activation. And it's not waiting for permission. It's waiting for your remembrance. Because in a world that thrives on amnesia, remembering your authority is the most radical thing you can do. You were conditioned to doubt yourself, to defer to others, to outsource your knowing to systems that never had your truth in mind. You were taught to label your clarity as pride, your instincts as rebellion, your power as too much. You were trained to suppress your light and call it humility. But what they labeled arrogance was actually ancestral confidence. What they called rebellion was your soul refusing to be reprogrammed. What they called difficult was your vibration pushing against systems that could never contain you. They told you to sit down, but your soul kept standing up. They told you to be quiet, but your truth roared louder. They told you to follow, but your essence remembered how to lead. Because no matter how many layers they wrapped around your power, you kept remembering pieces of who you are. The visions, the synchronicities, the dreams that felt like instructions, the inner voice that whispered truths you couldn't explain. These weren't random. They weren't coincidences. These were sacred echoes, breadcrumbs from lifetimes where you walked as a fully awakened force. Where your very presence altered landscapes. Where you moved mountains without asking permission. And you don't need loudness to lead. You don't need dominance to make impact. You don't need credentials to walk in your calling. True leadership is frequency. It's the quiet force behind your gaze. The calm in your voice when the room is unraveling. The stillness in your presence that makes others question their illusions. It's the weight of your silence when the world is yelling nonsense. You don't have to try to lead, you simply are. But this world has tried to shame you out of that truth. It told you leadership belonged to the charismatic, the extroverted, the certified. That it was for those who followed the rules, studied the scripts, and played the politics. But you're the exception they never planned for. You're the disruption they never factored into their equations. You are the prophecy that walks and breathes like a normal human, but radiates like a celestial code in human skin. The more you surrender to that truth, the more reality begins to bend around your remembering. Things open. People shift. Rooms feel different. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're vibrating higher. You are not here to hustle for relevance. You're here to embody remembrance. And every time you remember who you are, the veil thins. The lies dissolve. The chaos calms. And the real you begins to lead without effort, without force, just by being. So stop doubting. Stop asking if you're ready. Stop checking in with systems that were never built to recognize your kind of power. You were never meant to ask for a crown when you were born wearing one. You were assigned this mission long before the chaos began. Before the confusion. Before the fear. Before the false gods of this world erected their stages. Your authority was not man-given. It was spirit-sealed. And the moment you remember your authority, the world begins to remember its alignment. Because your leadership isn't learned, it's activated. Chapter 3, the pressure you feel is proof of your position. Chosen one, you've asked yourself why it feels so heavy. Why the burden feels bigger for you than for others. Why every room you walk into feels like a test, a stage, or a battlefield. Why even on days when nothing bad happens, your soul still feels like it's lifting something invisible but immense. But here's what you need to understand. The pressure you feel isn't a punishment, it's a prophecy in motion. It's the signature of your assignment. leadership at your level isn't about a title. It's not about applause, attention, or status. It's about spiritual positioning. You're not being asked to lead because it's convenient. You're not being asked to lead because you crave power. You're being required to lead because your frequency was forged for it, through fire, through loss, through evolution. And with that responsibility comes resistance. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because what you carry is disruptive. Your presence alone shakes dormant energy. Your walk carries codes that unsettle systems. Your very breath, your energy signature, your silence, even these are enough to shift timelines and trigger transformation. You are not ordinary, and that's exactly why the pressure won't let up. And yes, it gets lonely. Yes, it feels unfair. You look around and wonder why others seem to coast while you are constantly being refined. Why their lives appear easier, softer, simpler. But they weren't built for what you're built for. You were never here to live a small, manageable life. You were sent to redirect history. Here's the hidden truth: the pressure on your life is equal to the impact of your calling. The heavier the weight, the greater the mission. The higher the calling, the more intense the refining. And the reason it feels so intense? Because your steps aren't just yours, they reverberate across generations, across lifetimes, across realms. You weren't sent here to live a soft, diluted existence. You weren't sent to fit in and play nice. You were sent to be a catalyst, a shift maker, a soul with a fire so pure it could melt deception on contact. And catalysts are always met with friction. That pressure you feel, that inner war, that non-stop call to evolve while others stay comfortably stagnant. That's not a flaw. That's your fingerprint. That's your badge. That's how we know you're the one. Because only those built for massive transformation feel pressure this sacred, this consistent, this life-consuming. Others may not see it. They may think you're too intense, too sensitive, or too deep. But that's because they were never meant to carry what you carry. And that's okay. So when life feels overwhelming, when you feel misunderstood, misread, or misjudged, when the weight feels unbearable and your spirit aches to exhale, remember, you were built for this. You're not fragile. You're not broken. You're fierce, and you're becoming. You're not being punished, you're being sculpted. And what's more powerful is that this pressure is shaping something within you that others can't touch. It's unlocking a supernatural level of endurance. It's sharpening your discernment. It's birthing deep wisdom. It's anchoring emotional clarity. It's activating spiritual eyes that see through illusion. It's strengthening a voice that will not waver when the storm hits. You're not just becoming a leader, you're becoming the blueprint others will look to when their storms arrive. Don't curse the pressure. Bless it. Embrace it. Welcome it like a divine visitor that carries gifts hidden in discomfort. Because it's proof that heaven has its eye on you. That divine realms are watching, measuring, preparing, aligning resources around your assignment. You're not being crushed, you're being calibrated. You're not being buried, you're being positioned. And when that pressure peaks, when it feels like you can't hold another ounce, that's often the moment just before breakthrough. The tension you feel isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to stretch you, to expand you, to usher you into a space your previous self couldn't inhabit. So stay grounded. Stay clear. Stay open. Anchor yourself in truth. Root yourself in remembrance. And when it feels like too much, whisper to yourself, this isn't the weight of failure. This is the weight of greatness preparing to emerge. This is the tension before legacy. This is the refining of the rare. This is the call choosing me again. Chapter 4. You lead even when you don't mean to. Here's something few will tell you, chosen one, you lead even in your silence. Even in your stillness. Even in your quiet refusal to conform. You lead when your mouth says nothing, but your presence says everything. Even when you think no one is watching, your frequency is teaching. Your energy is a compass. Your essence becomes a mirror that shows others what alignment looks like. You don't have to try to lead. You don't have to push your way into power. Your very being leads people out of patterns they didn't know they were stuck in. Your vibration disrupts illusions. Your presence recalibrates reality, not with noise, but with truth. That's how powerful you've become. And you've tried to downplay it. You've tried to soften your steps, to tone yourself down. You've tried not to make waves, not to shine too brightly, not to be too much. But every time you walk into a room, eyes shift, hearts stir, timelines adjust. People feel you even when they don't understand what they're feeling. They recognize your presence even if they pretend not to. Not because you're asking for attention, but because you've become alignment in motion. You think leadership starts when you speak? No. It starts when you enter. It starts when you decide to walk in integrity, even when no one's clapping. It begins when you choose peace over pettiness, purpose over performance. When you choose to withhold your energy from chaos and drama because you know your energy is too sacred to waste. When you anchor your nervous system in love instead of fear, you're modeling mastery, and they feel it. That's high-level leadership, the kind most never see coming. And the kind you've been practicing without realizing it. You've been shaping atmospheres without effort. You've been leading silently, steadily, sacredly, and still, the room shifts when you do. But now the higher order is calling you to become aware of what you carry. Because unconscious leadership still moves things, but conscious leadership builds empires. Now, it's time to lead on purpose. To move with clarity. To walk with the understanding that your steps are being tracked by destiny. That your decisions are instructions. That your alignment is setting a new standard for what truth feels like. You've been a lighthouse in the storm, guiding others to safety without even knowing it. You've comforted souls simply by being grounded. You've dismantled lies not with shouting, but with unwavering presence. You've led people out of destruction just by standing still in your truth. That's not small. That's seismic. That's leadership on a soul level. And even when they pretended not to notice you, they felt you. Even when they dismissed your words, they remembered them in quiet moments. Even when they walked away, you left a blueprint behind. Because when you walk in divine authenticity, your energy leaves echoes. Footprints of frequency. Vibration signatures that stay in the room long after you've gone. You've led people you'll never meet. You've ignited awakenings you'll never witness. You've unlocked breakthroughs in others just by choosing not to abandon yourself. That's how sacred your alignment is. So stop downplaying your power. Stop shrinking so others don't feel small. Stop apologizing for the weight of your energy. You weren't sent to soothe illusions. You were sent to shatter them. You weren't created to make people comfortable. You were created to wake them up. And yes, some will resist it. Some will get uncomfortable in your presence. Let them. Their discomfort is the tension of transformation. It means your energy is doing its job. It means your frequency is confronting what they've tried to avoid. You're not leading with force, you're leading with truth. And truth doesn't beg. Truth doesn't bend. Truth builds. Let your alignment ripple through the atmosphere. Let it be the reason someone else finally chooses to remember themselves. Let it spark revolutions without a single word. Because you don't just walk into spaces, you activate them. You are the leader they didn't expect but always needed. You are the example the world has been praying for. And even when you don't mean to lead, you already are. Chapter 5. This is the era of unapologetic alignment. There was a time when you tiptoed through life, trying not to upset anyone. Trying to stay small enough to avoid judgment. Trying to blend in just enough to avoid confrontation. You were trained to dim, conditioned to shrink, praised for your politeness even as it cost you your power. But that time, that version of you, is over and done. This new season, chosen one, this is not the season of adjustment, it's the era of unapologetic alignment. You've spent too many years editing yourself, trimming your edges to make others feel comfortable, muting your power so no one felt overshadowed, diluting your truth so it wouldn't disturb the fragile egos around you. You've toned yourself down in rooms that were never meant to hold your magnitude. But the higher order that's activating you now, it doesn't want your edited self. It demands your essence. This frequency doesn't require diplomacy, it demands divine accuracy. Not performance, but presence. Not fake peace, but real alignment. It doesn't care if your truth ruffles feathers. It cares if your soul is whole. The days of contorting yourself for approval are done. The era of spiritual precision has begun, and you were born for it. This is not the time to play nice. This is the time to play real. To show up as the full, unfiltered, uncensored version of who you were designed to be. To speak what needs to be spoken without rehearsing how it will be received. To walk into spaces not with arrogance, but with sacred awareness that your energy itself is a disruptive transmission. A divine reminder that truth still lives and breathes. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need everyone to clap for you. You don't need anyone to get it. You just need to stay true to your blueprint, because your blueprint wasn't created for mass appeal. It was designed for divine mission. And that blueprint doesn't bend to trends. It doesn't shapeshift to survive. It doesn't flex for comfort. It doesn't submit to ego. Your soul code is fixed in eternity, written by realms beyond time, and it's finally rising in your awareness like a forgotten ancient melody, one you were born to remember, to hum, to sing into every room you enter. You weren't chosen to be liked. You weren't chosen to be soft-spoken when truth is needed. You weren't chosen to please the collective. You were chosen to be effective. And effectiveness means standing so deeply in your truth that anything false around you begins to shake. It means embodying your soul so fiercely that lies lose their grip. It means becoming so aligned, so absolutely resonant with your divine essence, that the universe starts to organize itself around your decisions. Around your yes. Around your frequency. You're not here to be relatable. You're here to be remembered. No more diluting. No more hiding. No more apologizing for the sharpness of your clarity or the heat of your fire. No more waiting for a better moment. This is the moment. This is the frequency. This is the doorway you've been circling around for years, and now it's open. You don't have to kick it down. You just have to walk through. And when you lead from alignment, something miraculous happens. You don't just lead people, you liberate them. You give others permission to rise by rising. You awaken others by standing in your power. You become a living frequency that whispers, "It's safe now." You can be real too. This isn't just a chapter in your journey. This is the moment you become the signal. And from this day forward, let it be known, the aligned version of you has entered the room, and nothing false can stay. Nothing false will ever survive in your light again. Chapter 6. When you rise, the old systems tremble. Chosen one, you may not see it with your eyes yet, but the moment you decided to stand fully in your light, systems started to shake. Not just the ones in your personal life. Not just the ones in your workplace or relationships. But ancient structures, systems built on centuries of silence, manipulation, fear, greed, and control felt the vibration of your awakening. Because when even one truly awakened soul remembers who they are, it sends a signal across time, across bloodlines, across dimensions. And the signal you've been sending? It's not polite. It's not passive. It's not weak. It's seismic. Don't underestimate the ripple of your rise. When you say no to fear, it rattles chains that have bound generations. When you choose peace over chaos, you expose the strings behind the performance. When you choose authenticity over approval, the illusion begins to crack. That's how powerful your frequency is. That's how spiritually nuclear your alignment has become. You didn't need to yell. You didn't need to wage war. You didn't need to win arguments. You simply aligned with your highest truth, and that alignment became an earthquake. The kind that doesn't just shake rooms, it restructures realities. You became a living disruption to the unconscious programs running the world. And yet, here's the wild part, you've been rising quietly. Not in rebellion. Not in anger. But with sacred discipline. With unwavering consistency. With divine elegance. You didn't storm the gates, they opened at your vibration. You didn't shout for permission, you embodied so much power that permission became irrelevant. You didn't beg for a seat at the table. You remembered you are the table, and now the world is scrambling to understand how you did it without their blueprint. But make no mistake, chosen one, your rise was always meant to be disruptive. Not because you're aggressive, but because your clarity reveals their confusion. Your sovereignty dissolves their control. Your self-awareness dismantles their authority. Your very existence becomes a spiritual confrontation for everything that feeds off illusion. That's why the attacks came. That's why the resistance increased. That's why people projected, criticized, and tried to box you in. Not because you were wrong, but because you were right on time. The Matrix isn't afraid of chaos, it's been built to manage it. What it fears are the awakened leaders. The souls who can no longer be bought. Who can no longer be programmed. Who walk in truth when it's inconvenient. Who say no without explanation. Who see through the performance of power and step into actual divine influence. That's you. That's who you've become. And that's exactly why they can't control you. But now, the higher order isn't just asking for your awareness. That was the beginning. Now it's asking for your action. It's calling for your full embodiment. For your voice to carry truth like thunder. For your presence to write new scripts. For your hands to create new systems. Because this isn't just your awakening, it's your assignment. You weren't placed here to survive the system. You were placed here to overwrite it. You are a key code injected into this timeline for a precise activation. You don't need to fight the system. You need to out-vibrate it. You need to rise so high in your alignment that the old paradigms fall apart simply because they can't exist at your frequency. This isn't rebellion. This isn't resistance. This is replacement. Divine replacement. Reality correction. Cosmic reset. So when you walk into rooms and feel tension rise, know this, it's not personal, it's energetic. Your very presence is a frequency shift. Your aura carries disruption to anything built on dishonesty. Your energy speaks a language only the awakened can understand, and the asleep can't ignore. You didn't come here to coexist with dysfunction. You came to dismantle it through radical alignment. You didn't come to tiptoe around brokenness. You came to rebuild the world through embodied truth. You didn't come to repeat history. You came to rewrite it cell by cell, word by word, action by action. And you're doing it. Every day you stay in your truth. Every time you hold your peace while holding your power. Every moment you choose your path over public opinion, soul over strategy, essence over ego, you shake the foundations of the false. You are the system breaker, the timeline shifter, the code carrier, the truth amplifier, the light bringer. And your rise? Your rise is the prophecy fulfilled, the sign that a new reality has already begun. Not one day, not someday, now. So rise without guilt, rise without apology, rise without asking for permission. The old world is trembling because the new one is being born through you. Chapter 7, this is what you were built for. This is it, chosen one. The moment everything you've endured, everything you've learned, everything you've survived, becomes fuel for your ascension. This is not the beginning of the end. This is the activation of the origin. The return to the unfiltered, unedited, unafraid essence of who you've always been before the world told you to forget. All the pain? It had purpose. All the silence? It had strategy. Every delay, detour, heartbreak, and loss was a forging process designed by divine intelligence. It didn't destroy you, it refined you. It purified your motives. It rewired your instincts. It sanded away the illusions and stripped off every mask until only the real you remained, pure, powerful, and aligned. And now, that version of you is rising. Not perfect, but positioned. Not flawless, but faithful. Not needing a crown to feel royal, because you know one already rests on your soul. You don't need the world to hand you authority. You carry it in your walk, your words, your presence. You don't have to say much for people to feel it. You embody it. This is what you were built for. The kind of leadership that doesn't come with a script. The kind of influence that comes from living in truth. The guidance that flows not from a manual, but from your very existence. The divine assignments that make no sense on paper but feel like prophecy in your bones. You've outgrown the need to explain yourself. You've transcended the urge to convince people of your worth. You're no longer here to prove, you're here to move. Because you believe in you. Because heaven believes in you. Because the higher order that summoned you knows exactly who you are and what you're here to activate. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to close them. To put an end to timelines that began lifetimes before you. To stop traumas from echoing down through generations. To reverse energetic debts just by showing up in your truth. You are the full stop in ancestral loops. The punctuation that ends dysfunction. The breath that interrupts the storm. The comma that says, and now everything changes. They'll say you came out of nowhere, but you didn't. You came out of the shadows. Out of battles no one saw. Out of silent seasons where your only support was unseen realms. Out of chapters that nearly broke you, but birthed something holy instead. They didn't witness your tears, but your tears were sacred ink, writing the version of you they're just now meeting. You're not rising by accident. You're rising by agreement. You said yes in dimensions others don't even believe exist. You said yes in the middle of your heartbreak. You said yes when fear screamed at you to quit. You said yes without the guarantee of applause. And that yes, that sacred whisper of surrender, is what unlocked this moment. So walk like it. Speak like it. Create like it. Lead like it. Move like someone who was chosen by Source. Decide like someone who knows their value isn't tied to outcome. This is the hour you were designed for. This is the atmosphere your energy was created to shift. This is the frequency only you can hold. This is the vibration you were born to carry. No more doubting. No more shrinking. No more trying to make yourself digestible to people who aren't ready to feed on truth. You are awake. You are chosen. You are leading. And now that you've remembered who you are, don't ever forget again. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't delay divine timing. The time is now. The crown is real. The order is divine. And the world is watching, but more importantly, the heavens are backing you. You didn't come this far to play small. You came this far to shift the earth. Now go lead like you've already won. Chosen one, if you've made it this far, that alone is confirmation you're not just hearing the call, you're answering it. You've remembered your power, reclaimed your authority, and stepped into alignment with something far greater than this world can offer. Now walk boldly. Speak truthfully. Lead unapologetically. The higher order didn't choose you by mistake. You are the shift. You are the signal. And your time is now. If this message stirred something in you, like, subscribe, and comment 77 below to lock in this energy. Replay this video whenever you feel the world trying to mute your light. Let it remind you you were born to lead. Stay chosen. Stay lit. Stay unstoppable.